Hello and welcome to this series on SEO Monthly Reporting. I'm your host, Andy Woolley, and in this brief series I'll show you how, as a stakeholder as well as a freelancer for clients, I use this very simple document as a PowerPoint presentation because it has the ability to include or exclude slides with it, which makes it very dynamic, to bring about a month-by-month reporting on your progress within your website, your particular brand, and ensure that there is recommendations that are implemented, and you can see the work that's been obviously completed the month before, and then the results gained from it. So let's dive in. So welcome to the landing page for the SEO Monthly Report. If you click the big red button, you will be able to download the template. This is built in PowerPoint. The reason that PowerPoint has been chosen, and I've worked in Excel and Word and many other different ways of delivering end of month reports to clients and stakeholders alike, is PowerPoint has the ability to continue a conversation, or particularly the story, from start to end, what tasks were completed at the beginning of the month and the recommendations deduced by the end of those results, and therefore become the tasks for the following month. PowerPoint provides this linear approach of pulling in or out slides for different parts of the conversation. So it's a very dynamic way of building your SEO reports per client or per stakeholder that allows you to be very flexible with one format. So whether you're looking at the website health or things that need fixing, keywords that you now rank for, or the elements of data and analytics from Search Console or SEMRush or Google Analytics, it's very easy to draw that picture within this document. Now, this overarching document contains a lot more in there than I would normally include, but that's because I'd rather give you a very easy, workable, dynamic document that you can delete from and therefore use it as you want, rather than suggest to you and then you have to go and build elements yourself. So please, by all accounts, don't take this as, it's read verbatim that it is the most concise document out there for SEO reporting. There are many ways that this can be done, but I've found that this is a very practical and effective way when you have numerous clients to do at the end of the month and you still need to make sure that the conversation or their particular story is unique to them. So please click the button, download it, and we'll dive into the structure of how I've put this together. So here is the SEO Monthly Report for your particular client or brand. As you can see from the visuals, it is served up as slides. It's branded, obviously, for my document, but it's quite easy to jump in here and to change it. So obviously from changing the main logo, which you will see sporadically positioned all the way through in the top left-hand corner of each of these slides, that you can do through the master file. So it speeds up the process of changing it relevant to each one of your brands if you were serving up many of these SEO reports at the end of the month. Now, this has been built with several things in mind. Having run alongside several other agencies, as well as running my own agency, at any one time managing over 30 clients, it was a case of each month having to do those reports. And as I'm sure a lot of you who probably have experience doing reports through agencies, is you can waste days, if not a week, just writing reports before you actually get into the work. And we're praised on the work and not on the admin. So finding a very formatic way to provide a contextual element of reporting that records the data relevant to each one of those clients, but doesn't waste too much time in the admin, because that doesn't move the needle, has taken a lot of refining, working through multiple documents and incorporating elements from other places. And this is kind of what we've ended up with. And I find that this works very quickly. Within 10-15 minutes, I can write a report for a client. So let me go from the top down. So the first slide is obviously just, brand it. It's on point. It records the brand name and the date. Absolutely vital as a roadmap to look back and forwards to see where you're going. The second slide then is normally just a screenshot of the website, just to make it relevant, or taking out a particular landing page and showing that something has dramatically changed if that was part of the web development within that month. So it just shows a bit of progress and keeps it on brand. The first slide then is really the overarching view. So this gives you the look of the domain authority, the authority score for that domain, whether that's improved or increased or declined, which is being as truthful as possible. It's denoted in the three colors: green for an improvement, red for decline, and orange obviously if nothing's really changed. And therefore it's a quick way of talking to a client, going through this, more so if you're going to catch up on a phone call or a video conference call, and you need to go through this. You don't want to spend too much time basically talking the document when you should be basically getting on with the work. So it's a simple way of just keeping the client or the particular stakeholder in the loop. And we look at the main essential things. Traffic costs, so it obviously looks at the organic keywords that are bringing in the traffic both to the website, but also the cost associated with those organic terms, and therefore whether they're valuable or not. So if you see the traffic costs going up, and even if the keywords didn't, then that would be a good sign. But likewise, there's lots of ways that this plays out. Sometimes you decrease keywords, but because of your way of choosing better keywords, traffic costs might go up. So for me, this is a very quick way of seeing what's there. And the wording at the bottom, again, is very generic. It's just the opportunity within a slide to put some comments if need be, but 9 times out of 10 not to go into great detail. The next slide then is really a compounding of what tasks have been done within the previous month that lead us into the metrics and analytics. And this is normally just a quick view. Sometimes it's quite generic, some of the terminology in there. More so if you've got constantly new content or blogs being added to the website, then optimizing them never really changes. But if there is something strategic that has happened within that month, something like a new redirect, new landing pages being incorporated, a new section of the website being built out, or a new campaign that's being run, then it pays to make reference for it here. So you can see then, monitoring wise, you've made a reference to it. And again, generic sort of terminology underneath just for your reference. Now we come into the crux of really, from a top-down approach, looking at the website, how it's interacting on the internet. So I use SEMRush, one of the big tools out there, premium tools. You might use Moz, Ahrefs, or any other sort of SEO tool specifically. But in my particular case, SEMRush is very good at just quickly taking a snapshot of the health of the website, telling you basically what the total score is, how many errors, warnings, and notices are there. Particular reference should always be, from an SEO point of view, covering the errors and looking at reducing those month on month. And that obviously is subject to time and budget. But ultimately, if those come down, that's going to have an impact on how the website ranks anyway. So it's good to keep a note of that if it starts out with many, many errors on there. And then the same with the warnings when you're looking to reduce them down. And it's quite a linear approach. You start with the errors, then the warnings, and then move into notices where possible. The next slide then is looking at traffic and keywords. The direct correlation of this is the more keywords you rank for, the more traffic you get. The more traffic you get, 9 times out of 10, the more keywords you got. They have a tight correlation between each other. And obviously, working on increasing your content and putting the keywords within them will have a benefit of pushing and engaging with more traffic on the internet. So I normally take a very quick snapshot of this. It's a very visual way to drink the information by looking at it and just basically seeing whether things are going up or going down. Now, we will discuss in another video series coming down the road keyword dispersion, which I do in a separate file, and that is also that ties into your resource file building. Please check that out. That is available on the website, and also ties into the book that Itter Blauer and myself have written, Keywords for SEO, available on Amazon. It allows you to understand then when you start accumulating those keywords to drive more traffic to your website, where they're really making the difference, which ones are really turning the curve for you and engaging with your particular audience. Okay, so this is just a very quick way of looking at it. I also then give another sort of visual for it, green to denote things improving, red if they've gone down. It's very, very rare that keywords actually stay the same. That only tends to happen if you've got a very static website or something that's starting in its infancy. But as websites go forward and the volatility of the market that's out there, they tend to be moving up and down month in, month out. So it's good just to show new keywords that have come in or those that have improved, some that have lost or others that have declined, and noticeable keywords or comments that you wish to put at the bottom. Again, it's just a very quick visual to have a conversation with a client, more so where they value certain terminology, and it's worth keeping an eye on those particular, and it could be more than one, you could put 2 or 3 in there, but it allows you to generate a conversation should that be warranted with a particular client or stakeholder. The next one then for me is looking holistically for that helicopter view, is where you're taking on board all the keywords and you're looking at then how that visibility has increased month in, month out. Because ultimately what you're trying to do is, while you're drawing more traffic in and increasing your traffic, increasing your keywords, you're trying to get more engagement. And that only happens when you see the visibility improve. The numbers that sort of correlate to this in Google Analytics are your sessions, page views, and your bounce rate. So this is just, again, another quick and visual for me to take a snapshot of a whole month and then see whether it's gone up or down from the start position to the end position, which correlates to the number here. And that allows us to see whether we're really penetrating the market. Because here's the thing, you may not improve on keywords and you may not improve on traffic, excuse me, but you may improve on engagement. So this is another quick way of drawing into that conversation. Sometimes I visualize it and just pull out quick snippets of the most highest performing keywords, and particularly when we're having the conversation around traffic and how that's correlating to the amount of content coming to the particular website. Sorry, not content, the particular visitors to the website. Again, the green denotes how many things are new, how many you've lost, and it gives you the opportunity, because obviously you can pull this out as a CSV file and put that in your resource file, which educates us for the people that are doing the work. But from the stakeholders' point of view, it gives them a visual idea of maybe seeing some of their chosen head keywords that they don't wish to lose. Again, every one of these slides you can delete or amend in any simple way, but the conversation, as you can see, is all about telling a story and keeping it very simple for a stakeholder or client to understand what's happening. The same with the next one then. This is drawn in from Search Console, which allows you to see the keywords, or as it's classed under their queries, under the performance section on the left-hand side in the sidebar. And here we're looking at the particular queries, relevant, the number of clicks and impressions, and obviously you could add into there as well the click-through rate also, but it gives you a very quick and easy way from, say, a domain name to your most important silos or the topics that are most relevant that you are known for, and therefore you know that you are drawing more of the audience relevant to your particular brand, that you should see the conversions as well. So in this particular client's case, it was all about lead generation software. That's what they do, and you can see there's many terms that reinforce that, and that's exactly what they want. The next slide then, we've taken an overview. The next slide now is we're starting to look into Google Analytics and pull out some of that metrics and analytics that basically compounds what our findings are, allows us to start deducing some recommendations going forward, but actually the numbers don't tell a lie. They paint a picture of saying whether things are improving or not. So I tend to use the next 3 slides to tell each part of that story. So the first one just looks at the overview based on one single month. So it gives you an idea of how many users have come in, how many of those are new users, which typically is the case. More so if you're doing a lot of organic or paid search, then you're going to try and increase your new visitors, bring them into an existing brand and try and convert them through your sales funnel. This just gives you a quick overview, and again, you can run a small comment at the bottom. The next one then gives a little bit more context to the existing numbers you just had above. We draw comparison to the year before by selecting in the top right hand corner the time period under Google Analytics. And what this affords us is the opportunity of looking in the commercial calendar, allowing for any sort of festival or festive changes. It allows us to see year on year shifts within the trend of those particular users engaging with our brand. And in this particular case, you can see it's all good news because it's denoted by lots of green. But if not, it allows us to drill down and see where we are winning or losing compared to this time last year. And ideally, if you've been putting all that hard work in, you would naturally expect to see an increase. But having that time period to reflect over, you can then draw into your own analysis and look at really what's made the difference, which is where you go into behavior under Google Analytics and start looking at conversion rate optimization. A different subject completely, but worth noting because ultimately those are in the back of your mind the sort of things that you're going to use to do your recommendations. And the last part of it, because obviously this is more an SEO report, yes, you could draw into this one paid, but 9 times out of 10 I always draw into the conversation the organic. So whilst we have the audience overview here, visitors coming to the website, and we also look at the comparison to this time last year, I also draw the comparison from an organic point of view, the very things I'm tasked to do. And the rhyme or reason for that is a lot of the times, if you're working as a team, you've got someone doing the website design, you've got someone doing the email marketing, somebody doing the social media, someone doing the content writing. But your job as an SEO person is very much project management. It's gluing all that together to get the results. And this is a very quick way of showing that you've increased the traffic by, as you can see in this particular site, 141% compared to the year before. And it's gone from 3,200 visitors to 7,900. So you're certainly doing your job of making the website more visible. And that's kind of half the battle with SEO. Yes, we need to answer the question, we need a relevant audience and draw them in, but first and foremost, you've got to get the eyes onto your brand. So by all accounts, this allows me to have a look and say organic growth year on year has massively improved. So there's justification in the numbers, you doing your job. And that's just taking the last 3 slides there, looking at the top of the sales funnel. So yes, we could go into the bottom of the middle of the sales funnel and start looking at how they interact and all that. That's a different conversation completely, and not something I draw into an SEO report, because ultimately that's the devil in the detail and something you're being employed to do. And most stakeholders don't wish to know anything more than the recommendations. What they want to know is how many people are coming to the brand and how that's converting at the bottom. So now we jump right to the bottom of the sales funnel. And we look at, sorry, I did provide another one there, purely just to give you an overview of that. Again, a different flavor. But we look at the bottom of the sales funnel now. And if you haven't got an e-commerce site, you might be generating leads, or you might be just trying to build awareness like a charity or something like that. So therefore, goals are just as important. They're the bottom of your sales funnel. So again, I look at the next couple of slides, the next 2, that give me a flavor of that. So we look at the overview, which is basically just a month pulled out. We look at it on a day-by-day basis. We can see the interaction of the user on there. We can see how many conversions there were, how many goals. There were 40 in there, and what the conversion rate is. So whilst you're getting people to do something, maybe stay on a page so long, fill out a form, or go from one page to another, you can record many different types of goals. What you're looking for is how they convert. So basically how much they're involved within that brand and basically staying engaged in it. The next slide obviously shows that a year on year to give you a comparison. And again, having done this for numerous clients, I pulled this one out just to give you an idea, and also pull out the organic side of it as well. So you could have like 3 slides in there, but not really worth it, to be honest. You tend to show them what it is in this one particular slide, and you might just go for one slide. You can show how many people come in, you can show how it's related to last year, and you can also show how the organic traffic has made a difference as well. So you know that you can justify your time and effort, and that it's obviously building the brand, and there might be more justification. You'll come to a meeting either to continue with the client or even ask for additional budget to keep pushing it harder and more forward. You know that something's happening there on behalf of that client, and you may be the client, but we'll talk about them in the third party, because you know, don't always see everything. You need the numbers like this to really paint that picture. So moving on to, from most of the e-commerce sites out there, it's the e-com right at the bottom of your sales funnel. These are the things, the bottom line, that make the difference. So knowing what your revenue's been generated, how many transactions and what the average order value is, and out of those transactions, how many of them as a percentage are converting, because that gives you ammunition to go forward and decide how to make changes for next month. So this one is absolutely vital if you're selling products or services. And again, a year-on-year comparison, so you can look at the average order value, you can look at the revenue, and you can see whether it's improved or not. And as you can see, this is a snapshot from a genuine client that I've done. We improved it by 156%. Everything across the board worked, because we don't just look at trying to make sales, we're looking at the very essence of how those sales are made. Are they the right price? Are we describing each of those products services correctly? And are we losing customers, unfortunately, through the sales process, and therefore can we make it a better experience, where we will talk about things like user experience down the road, UX. And the last one then of that one is obviously just looking at it from an organic point of view. As I said, you could be running this in tandem with a paid campaign, but that might be done through a separate agency, and you're in-house doing all the SEO work yourself for your brand. So therefore you need to know what element of that work you did actually move the needle. So obviously you can come up to the top, you can choose one of the dimensions there, which is organic traffic, and you will see here at the bottom the organic has obviously risen by 303% compared to the same time last year. So you know the work that you've been doing is been getting a result, and that's the key ingredients. And this is probably one of the main slides I draw clients into, more so if they've got an e-commerce solution, because for me this is the winning slide, because it justifies my existence, it justifies the work and the expenditure, but it also shows we are getting the result. Everything else, which I mentioned earlier, could be sugarcoating. Yes, we're getting more engagement. Yeah, more people are reading our blogs. But ultimately, if you are e-commerce, it's what hits the bottom line is the key ingredients. The last one then, I normally go off and just look at backlinks, which is another vital element, but I don't dwell on them because ultimately it's about the bottom of that sales line, what really delivers the value. But I think it's nice to see whether it's improving, whether it's more visual out there. This obviously builds into the VCP principle, which is visibility plus credibility is your path to profitability. So whilst we've got something credible, i.e. our website, our offering, the products and services we deliver, we need to make sure people know about it. So the visibility, which is obviously the job of SEO, is getting out there and getting people to find it. Backlinks are a fundamental element of that. So it's good to have one eye on this, but ultimately I don't dwell on it too much within the SEO report because it doesn't deliver the value that the stakeholder or client is looking for. Summing up now, and as I said, this is quite a short, if I was delivering this, I would literally be half the slides in here, but I'm just providing it as a template for you. The recommendations then, so drawing all that analysis together, using my experience, I would look at where I could tweak and change things, both from the on-page and off-page solutions, and also the health of the website within the website architecture to bring about a better user experience and ultimately higher conversions. And I'd make my suggestions in there. And again, this is by no means complete, but I keep it short and sweet because this is what affords the opportunity between you and the client to have a conversation. That is the real impetus of a whole SEO report, because 9 times out of 10 they don't get read. So all you want is something brief, has enough of the context there that should the client pick it up a month or 3 months or 6 months later and then read through them all briefly, they will start analysing it at a time that's convenient to them. You need to keep a roadmap as you go along. But having this quick and digestible approach means that when that meeting is called, you have easy the ammunition there to stack up your credible work and then deliberate from it what's the best course of action going forward. So I find that this simple storytelling approach has worked for numerous clients, built numerous budgets, and obviously retained those clients over a long period of time, which has been beneficial to me and to my agency. And then the last slide is just simply a signing off, thank you, on brand. The logo here would obviously be that of the clients here, and then a selection of their social media, just to keep it on brand, nothing else. As I mentioned, this is a very dynamic document. You have the complete access to this. The numbers, if anything, this provides you a blueprint to work it as it is, delete where you see fit, and then deviate on a conversation that you feel warrants more justification. To give you another element to this as well, when I provide this back to a client along with their invoicing, I normally provide supporting documents as well. That could be download documents from SEMRush which show the landing pages or the visibility, as well as the keywords and the traffic that we're currently ranking for. If most of you are familiar with any of these sort of premium tools, you can pull off 1,000 different types of reports depending on where the conversation needs to go. So to be honest, I keep it very much helicopter view right at the top, just for the sales funnel, because that's all that matters. How many people are coming into my brand, how many are converting, and therefore how does it affect me on my bottom line? That's all that really matters to any particular client or stakeholder. And then if they wish to draw down into a particular conversation, then it opens the door for you to go off and get some independent work separate to this. But as a very quick, easy way of putting clients' reports together month in, month out, I find this is the easiest and most effective, practical approach to take. Thank you.